What's up, guys? Welcome back to Black Beyond Borders. It's been a while. I've been away, haven't been making any content, but I decided, let me hop back on here and, give you guys some content, and maybe I'll keep the ball rolling, maybe not, who knows. But yeah, so it's 2026. Hope everybody had a good New Year. Hope y'all had a good Christmas as well. So 2026, all the stuff that's going on in the world, and you're like, man, I want to get out of here. And you decide that you want to move to China. Well, have no fear. That's what I'm here for. I'm going to give you the step-by-step blueprint on how you can move to China in 2026. Now, these results, they vary. Not everything is fact by fact. There's other things that vary, but this is the simple steps that you can take if you want to move to China in 2026. And by moving, I'm referring to being a teacher, an English teacher. Of course, there's other things you can do in China as well. That stuff is complicated. I'm not going to get into any of that, but I'm going to give you the step-by-step formula on how you can move to China to be a teacher in 2026. All right, let's get to it. First thing you need to be is a native English speaker. That's the requirements, meaning you need to be from America, the UK, Australia, Ireland, New Zealand, South Africa, any of the native English speaking countries. You need to be from there, have a passport, because the government, for them, that's the rules for them to issue a working visa, an English teaching working visa. You need to be from one of those native speaking countries. So that's the requirement. First things first, you need that. Of course, there are ways around it. That's a little bit of a gray area, but if we're doing this the legal way, the right way, the requirement is you need to be from a native English speaking country. That is, the way, the most simple legal way. Next thing you need is at least 2 years of experience. Now, this doesn't always apply. You can, be a rookie, fresh off the boat, never have any teaching experience, and still be placed. But and it just doesn't apply to everything. But it would be recommended if you have at least 2 years of experience. Of course, how do you get experience if you don't have experience? And you can still get jobs here even without experience. Don't expect any high paying job or anything like that. If you don't have the 2 years experience and you want to come to China, you can. But keep in mind, you're going to have to bite the bullet a little bit and take a low paying crap job just so you can get that experience. And then once you get those 1 or 2 years, then you can either ask for more money or go somewhere better. But about 2 years of experience, but it's not always required. There are a lot of people that come here fresh off the boat with no experience. And if you don't have 2 years of experience, you may be limited to things like training centers or kindergartens. Next, obviously, you need to have a degree. Doesn't matter which degree is in. I have a bachelor's in sociology. You can have it in history, in communications, in finger painting, anything. I don't give a damn. You just need a degree. They just need to see you have a 4-year degree, a bachelor's degree. That's all they want. Bachelor's degree. Doesn't matter what it's in. And that's finally the degree is being used, because it feels like these degrees are worthless nowadays. But yeah, you need a degree. And by the way, I'm giving all these steps to let you know to get a working visa to be here legally. Of course, there are many people who don't have degrees that work here, but I'm giving you guys the legal way, the proper legal way, so you don't get in trouble. So you need to have a degree. Next is a TEFL, or a TESOL, any of those English is a second language certifications. Those are easy to get. You can get those. Because then you need that's the certification to prove that you are certified to teach English. I don't know how much weight they really hold, to be honest, but a TEFL or a TESOL or any of the equivalent to that's what you need. And also age actually plays a factor. I think the age range is like 22 to like 55. Don't quote me on this. I could be wrong. I think there's an age limit, but you need to be within those age ranges. Most of y'all that watching this obviously fit the age range. I don't think you 73 years old watching my black ass trying to move to China. So, but most of y'all fit the age range, so y'all don't have to worry about that. Those are the ways to, those are the qualifications you need. You need to be from a native English speaking country. Doesn't matter which country, as long as it's one of those native English speaking countries. 2 years of experience, but you can always bypass that. You take something lower to get your experience. You need a degree. That is mandatory. A TOEFL. Another thing I forgot to mention. I forgot to mention this. A teaching license. I would highly, highly recommend you get a teaching license. The reason I would highly recommend you get a teaching license is because with a teaching license, that opens up more opportunities for you, opens up more doors for you. Because if you don't have a teaching license, you're kind of limited. Training centers, kindergartens, public schools, which, they're okay. But, the pay might not necessarily be top tier. But if you have a teaching license, you can teach at international schools, bilingual schools. You get higher pay. You can, feel like a real teacher. And if you're not a native English speaking person, but if you have a teaching license, you can teach subjects. You can teach different subjects, like, math, chemistry, drama, any of that. But I would highly recommend you get the teaching license because it just opens up more doors. And honestly, teaching in China is not the same as it used to be. Back in the day, it was a lot easier to, find teaching jobs. And now it's just harder. Like I'm on Reddit reading that people with teaching license can't even find a job in China. The teaching market has gone down. Kindergartens are closing down because kids aren't being born. Training centers, they're shutting down because the government's not prioritizing English. The training centers are losing money. So the teaching market is pretty bad right now, if I'm being honest with you. Will it look good in the future? I really don't know. But the teacher market right now in China is pretty bad. And the salaries have gone down tremendously. Pre-COVID, the salaries were good and they were just steadily going up. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was just going up. And as it should, with inflation, with the cost of living slowly going up in China, the salaries were going up. And then when COVID hit, they skyrocketed. I'm talking about 30, 40, 50K jobs, people with no experience because everybody was out of China. The borders were closed. People couldn't come in. The foreigners who were stuck, they could demand high salaries and they were getting a lot of money. It was a lot of money out there. And, if you were in China during that time period, you were making bank. And then the borders opened. The bubble pop, and now it's a race to the bottom. The salaries have gone down, actually lower than pre-COVID, like lower than pre-COVID. Like you gotta have a teaching license just to get a 25K a month job. You know what I'm saying? I've seen that. I'm seeing jobs for like 10, 15K for native English speakers. It's crazy. So yeah, like it's not all sunshine and roses like it used to be. It used to be cool. It used to be great, but I'm just being honest. It's not as promising as it was. So like, just keep that in mind. And if you're really, if teaching is really what you want to do, then I would recommend investing in a teaching license because at the least you'll be able to you'll be a real teacher. Just be aware that if you are a person of color, you can get a job here. It's not impossible, but just keep in mind it is harder. And that's not me like trying to sit here and play victim and woe is me. No, that is an actual fact. That's an actual legitimate fact. So just be wary of that you'll see jobs here that won't hire you because of the color of your skin. And, agents, recruiters, some of them will just tell you like, look, it's the school. The parents want, white person, whatever. So that's how it is. But overall, teaching in China, I think, is still more lucrative compared to the other Asian countries. Like, Korea, they've been capped at the same salary since like 2005. Vietnam, Vietnam is a come up. I've seen some pretty decent salaries there. Thailand, I don't think the salary is that high in other countries and stuff. But China is still the country with the highest salary. But like I said, just keep in mind that it ain't the same like it used to be, man. That could change in 2026. I don't know. I can't predict it, but I'm just telling you, as someone that's been here for almost 9 years and that's currently here, seeing everything in real time, things just aren't the way they are. But anyway, that's how you can move to China in 2026. If you got any questions, leave it in the comment section. I'll answer them for y'all. But thank you guys for watching. Let me know if y'all want me to make more content about China. I can give you guys more insights on things. Check out, I don't know. Follow me on Instagram. That's all I got to say, just to see my life in China. But thank you guys for watching. All right, I'm out.